Good afternoon, everybody. Falco here. You're in the shop with me, where I like to spend a lot of my time. I like to stay busy. Like projects, doing various things, working, basically. I just recently decided to start making some videos. I like watching videos, learning how people do stuff, learning how to do stuff. And I thought I would give a little bit back and start doing the same thing. And I have this project that I've been somewhat working on for years. Around 2008 or 9, I acquired a military Humvee. It had sat in the guy's driveway for 12, 13 years. And he would go out there every so often and throw a tarp over it. And when that tarp would degrade and fall apart, he would throw another one on top of that. And I don't even recall how many layers of tarps there were on this thing. And when I went to pick it up, I literally had to shovel tarps out of it, dirt, leaves, where squirrels and mice and everything had been living in it, to shovel all that stuff out. It had sat there so long, the brakes were locked up, and we had to drag it around a little bit to get the brakes unlocked. And while there, the guy told me, he said, we had it running once. And the problem was, you couldn't just take these things to your local Humvee dealership and get them to work on it. Well, I got it home, cleaned it up, because it was nasty. And I went through very quickly, and just an effort to get it running. Cleaned out the fuel tank, drained all the fluids, new set of batteries, some belts and hoses, and various things. The stuff you have to replace when a vehicle has sat that long. I got it running and don't drive it very much, basically because I don't trust it. I found some issues while I was working on it, loose bolts and various other parts that were not functioning properly. It leaked from everywhere, motor leaks, transmission leaks, the torque converter, transfer case leaked. So I have recently decided to take the thing apart, clean it up, fix the stuff that needed to be fixed, and see if I can get it to a point where I actually trust the thing to drive it very far. And the funny thing, a couple days ago when I started doing this, I had an old camera. The batteries didn't last very long. It didn't take very good videos. I took a lot of videos, and I actually did this introduction one time already. And because the camera was so old, the video format wasn't supported by video editing anything. So I was trying to convert these videos over to something usable. And in that process, I somehow managed to delete my intro video, which wasn't a bad thing. I really didn't like it anyway. So I'm going to try to pick up kind of where I left off with that, and then the next series of videos for a couple days are going to be lower quality videos, because actually we're videotaping them with that handheld video camera. And a couple nights ago I ordered a GoPro, which is actually what I'm using now to record this, and I'm still getting used to using it, so bear with me. I started to convert some of the videos and put them in a video editing program, and I think so far that's been the hardest thing about this whole ordeal. I've never used one, so learning how to do that's been kind of a chore. So to start off this video, my first video, I'll show you the project, do a quick shop tour, and I actually have some parts in some rust cleaner, and where I left off last time, I have the motor out. Started taking some parts off of it. I've got the valve cover sitting in an electrolysis tank, getting cleaned up a little bit because they were kind of rusty and nasty. So here's the project. So what I did yesterday after I got all this stuff out is I spent a couple hours pressure washing and cleaning. Man, did it make a difference. Anyway, this is the project. When I got it, it had no top. It did have the doors, which I have the front ones taken off right now just to make it easier to get in and out. It didn't have a top. I made a soft top. I had to learn how to run a sewing machine. That was fun. Made a soft top for it, kind of a tan color. And after having it on there for a little while, it shrank. About 6 inches on both sides. Was pulling the snaps out and everything else. Well, go to plan B. Plan B, I made one out of plywood and covered it in Rust-Oleum Decor Store. I have all the parts in the back that have been taken off in a little storage spot and underneath it. But that's my project. I also had, in my first video, I took all the seats out and I cleaned them. And I actually have a extractor that I was using, and I should have videotaped that because I know I like watching the guys that do the automotive detailing, and they like to put those videos on there where they had a heavy soil load and carpet or on seats, and everybody, you get to watch the dirt getting pulled out of it. And I even like watching them. It's kind of satisfying. And I should have videotaped that, but that was right before I started to do this because, man, were they disgusting. But I had them out and had them sitting over here drying, and, well, that's part of the video that I lost. Anyway, we'll just do a quick view of the shop here. I work on a lot of different things. Sometimes I'll be down here woodworking, sometimes I'll be down here metalworking. Sometimes I'll be down here turning wrenches. But I keep all my woodworking equipment on rollers for the most part. And I have that all huddled up, stacked up here in the back out of the way. The router cabinet table that I built. Sander, joiners here covered up. Dust extractor rig. Planers over there in the corner. Metal cutting bandsaw, some miter saws, and this is my rolling cart that my shop vac hooked to it. I like to use that when I'm running the table saw or bandsaws under here somewhere. Anyway, that's the quick of the shop tour. Got the transmission sitting here in a rolling cart, some more stuff that I painted. Transfer case is sitting here. Got the motor sitting here on a rolling cart. I had a stroke of genius when I took this out. I set it down on the floor, blocked it up, and actually had blocks up underneath the harmonic balancer. And it was sitting there really stable. And I started working on it, and I decided I need to spin the motor over. Well, you can't do that if it's sitting on the harmonic balancer, so I had to make me a little stand to put it on. So I'm gonna put it on this rolly cart so I can move it around in case I don't get it all done in a day. And good thing I did. I actually rolled that over out of the way, took the tractor, pulled the Humvee outside, and spent a couple hours cleaning. And I was soaking wet from laying on my back, pressure washing underneath it, and dirty and disgusting and cold, because it was, I think, in the 40s yesterday when I was doing it. So to get you caught up kind of where I left off, I have some parts soaking in the vapor rust. Now, a couple different containers. I'm trying to keep the valve cover bolt separate from the intake manifold bolts and some other stuff, and I have a bucket here that I've got some other parts sitting in, and I'm gonna take some of these out and clean them up. And I'm gonna try this GoPro sitting on my head and see how that works, and take you guys along for the ride with me. We're gonna see how this stuff cleans up. I have another container. I'll move it in there. Not too bad. A little bit of stuff here and there, but for the most part cleaned up pretty good. Definitely much better than they were. See what we got in this one. Oh yeah, I like it. Definitely much better. I really didn't soak this thing in it. I just sprayed some on it and left it in there. Still need to clean the gasket off of it. Get it ready to go back on. I figured I could at least get some of the build up off of it. Wasn't really expecting miracles with this thing. Wire brush and some other tools will wind up cleaning that off. This is actually the gear cover for the front of the motor. You see the outline of the water pump right here. Well, to take the water pump off, you actually have to take this gear cover off because there's bolts that go through from the backside. And I don't know if I put it in another video, but when I first got this thing, I had a issue with it heating up. Put a water pump on it, and once I got it all back together, after a while I noticed that the pulley was wobbling. Almost to the point where it was going to throw the belts off. I think it goes up to the alternator. That goes on the front bumper. I just wanted to see how it would do
Got a lot of rust off, a lot of paint on it, but it's not supposed to take paint off. Did get a lot of rust off though. Set this out here to dry. Don't need it right now. Anyway, I just left it, so I didn't drive it very much. And when I took, I didn't know if there's something I did. Did I not get the bolts tight, or was there a piece of something stuck behind the pulley causing it to be not seated right? And once I took it apart for this tear down that I'm doing right now, I noticed that the shaft was bent on the water pump. This is what you get for buying remanufactured parts. This is the pulley that I was talking about. Well, that cleaned up easy. Cleaned up real good. Be a good spot to have a parts washer, wouldn't it? Oh yeah. Take this bad boy up and we'll be ready to go. Let that soak for a few minutes. See what else we got in here. Now remember, these parts are really rusty. Nice, you've been soaked all night. I don't think I took pictures of those before I put them in here. But everything's coming off. Easily. This bracket actually goes on the transfer case. And it's got a hose, or excuse me, a exhaust clamp that goes through and actually holds the exhaust. So you worked on stuff know how anything touches an exhaust is going to be rusty. I think that's everything. No. There it is. Where'd it go? There it is. These go in little grommets here. And the bolts go through that. Let's set this stuff out here and let it dry for a little while. see how the valve covers are doing. Still bubbling away. I was gonna let those soak all night with the power hooked up, and I inadvertently, instead of turning it on low, I turned it off. So they just sat there soaking in the water all night. It just didn't help at all. So now, what's next?